Hello. So I think we're going to look at the contents of the book now.
We are.
So
We're looking at the bits.
Yeah, I just wanted to show you this on an e-reader you can increase the font sizes and obviously go to different locations. But because I was working, I was writing this manuscript up on Amazon's own KDP program. They do have a table of contents. We just go to each chapter that you want. So this is what it looks like inside. The frontispiece does mention my gratitude to the New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife Service, because I wanted their permission because I took so many photos from the national park, from Tomaree National Park, and they've been really brilliant. When I requested, do I get your permission for this, even though these were my photos, I wasn't too sure about the legalities.
Big copies and stuff.
Yeah, because I think for drones they do have a more strict permission rights for that. So I did tell them, look, if there are any sales from this book, 10% of the proceeds will go to them, because they have been brilliant around Port Stephens, especially with the Tomaree Coastal Walk. They have done brilliantly there. So yes, I also would like to thank DMH. So she's edited parts of the drafts, so thank you. And it just shows the front cover photo, and you can look at my other video where I discuss some of the photos I included on the cover of the book. So my gratitude firstly to Peter Mayle. So for those of you who've read A Year in Provence and his Provence series, I have been inspired by him really when I think about it since I first read his books, and how that has carried me through, and there has been a lot of influence from him on this book.
So this is A Year in Port Stephens.
A Year in Port Stephens, but I think it's been longer. It's more than 1 year in Port Stephens.
A long time in Port Stephens.
A long time in Port Stephens. So I did try to do A Year in Port Stephens, but it never really got off the ground because I was just too busy, like I think Peter Mayle found, dealing with so many other stuff. And when the weather is beautiful there, you just go outside. You can't stay indoors.
True.
So it's difficult to write when
unless you're in the shed.
Unless you're in the shed, yes. Yeah. Yes. To my family and friends, thank you.
Yeah, it's been a bloody long time.
So for your patience, understanding, and sometimes being, an inspiration. Yes, the inspiration.
Yeah. And in trouble for not finding a photo.
Yes, there was one particular photo I wanted to include in this book, but we could not find it.
It's somewhere.
It was a photo of a honey eater on top of a Gaimea lily, and it was on top of Gangan Hill, and it was just an incredible photo. The bird just managed to go into that lily looking for its honey, I suppose. But in future, I hope in future editions I'd be able to include photos from sunrises at Wreck Beach.
If you ever get out of bed.
Same to you. Anyway, and finally to the original inhabitants of Port Stephens, to the Worimi, always was, always will be. So that's my thank you page. And you laughed at this when you read this one, didn't you? The year began with lunch. Yes. Well, it kind of did.
Well, there are better ways to start the year.
Oh dear. Anyway, so here's the table of contents. As you can see, these are hyperlinks, so if you go to a link there, you'll be able to see it. So if I go to click on chapter 1, you'll see the image I have. So each chapter has an image at the beginning, so you'll see what the theme is about. So this is a view from Quarry Hill again, but a different perspective. So unlike, I think this was actually probably close to the summit of Quarry Hill, because the front cover photo, the book cover photo is actually further down, so you can actually see Wreck Beach, but this one is up close to the summit. And Quarry Hill is probably I think it's by height, it's not as tall as Stevens Peak.
No, but it's still a good climb.
Yeah, it's still a good climb, but Quarry Hill is lovely. So that's just a hyperlink, but as you can see, I can just go back to here, and that's where the table of contents are. And I think I mentioned in another video, these are the chapters there. So it's when I was coming up with the structure of the book, it came rather organically, so I did do it by suburbs, and then there were themes towards the end. So, and this is how it is formed. This is just my disclosure that I didn't get paid to write this book. All the activities that we've done, and all the food.
Everything has been done as for real.
Has been done for real. So the producers, which makes it easy for me to write about the producers. And I've taken the Peter Mayle approach. If you didn't really like the producer or the service, you don't mention it. So,
as you can tell, Bannister's copped a flogging. Unfortunately, there was some photos of Bannister's we couldn't use.
Yes.
Particularly the staggering home parts.
Yes. I don't know what you found wrong with my Bannisters chapter. I mean, it's a good feed, it's a good spot. So Mr. Martin told me to cut down on Bannisters. So instead I added more photos to break up the text. Anyway, so just a declaration of interests here. If there are any future editions of this book, and if there's any Port Stevens producer there that haven't patronised, you can always drop me a line, and then I'll make a visit. But I'll do it like one of those secret diner things and not announce myself. And
yeah, just look for the weird person dressed up in secret squirrel outfit.
And taking lots of photos. and yeah. So if there's any future editions of this book, I reckon just even to update it.
So Bannisters will cop another chapter.
No.
Bet your KFC doesn't.
There's a good KFC at Salamander Bay, okay? It's filled by local kids, okay? So it provides local employment to kids, but why would you write a book about Port Stevens and talk about the KFC? I mean, I do mention some of the fast food joints on the journey up, but I think you will see the fast food joints up here anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. So that's just a question there that I've anticipated. If why haven't I covered a particular producer? As I said, I wasn't a fan of their service, or I wasn't particularly impressed by their product itself, but that's just my own biases.
Or those who we actually did do and didn't get into the book, it's not because it's you or bad, we just run out of time.
Or run out of space.
Run out of gigs.
And so that's just the way it is, but so I've not been, I've really been influenced more by my taste than anything else. Okay, and this is the prologue, and this is a view of the port's Nelson Bay Marina. And this was actually a gorgeous afternoon. They had the markets on at Nelson Bay by the foreshore, and this is low tide. It's so calm, it's so peaceful, and then you've got this gorgeous white light as the sun sets. I mean, I'm not sure if the landscape... Well, there you go. The landscape actually shows it a bit more.
Sort of more like a panoramic, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was actually a panorama. So you've got Nelson Bay Markets here on the left. And then this is where you go to catch some of the ferries, whether it's the whale watching, the dolphin watching, or the Tea Gardens ferry. So at the time of writing a publication, the Tea Gardens ferry does come and gets moored from here.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a lot about the tea gardens ferry. So this is just this chapter just mentions some of my inspiration here. And just to conclude, I add another photo from the southern end of Box Beach, but this time looking north. So this is the little passageway I mentioned in my other video and I talk about, but you can see the swells up at the northern end. And there's Tomri and there's Yakaba there. And really this spot is so pretty.
It's not a bad little area.
Yeah. And that brings us to chapter 1. There we go. So I hope you liked our conversation in our preview of this book.
The book.
Yeah.
Which now you have to buy. Support the national parks and wildlife.
Well, look, I hope it's an informative guide, and I wish the price wasn't so high, but just the upfront costs from Amazon just surprised me. But there are 500 photos, so you will definitely get to see a pictorial story of Port Stephens, at least from our own personal experience.
Travel,
Yeah.